thanks everyone. I think we have more than half of the people who registered have already in, and others are trickling in. Okay, thanks everyone. I think we'll formally get started. Thanks for all your time for this webinar on redefining digital banking transformation. In terms of the panelists today, I have Mr. Han Apeng Quang, who's the Deputy CEO of Philip Bank Cambodia. Thanks, Mr. Han, for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Han. So Mr. Han is a seasoned banking professional. He's got about 25 years plus experience in the banking industry. He was basically handling right now he's handling the digital banking transformation in Philip Bank. He's been a chartered banker, Scrum Master, and has gone through this whole process of agile development and, Scrum methodology and so on. So today he'll talk us through some of the experiences he has had with the overall digital banking transformation. And along with Mr. Han, I also have Mr. Ross Soka. Mr. Ross Soka is Chief Digital Officer at Satapna Bank. Welcome, Mr. Soka.
Very welcome. Thank you.
Yeah. So Mr. Soka has been part of the digital banking transformation at Satapna Bank. Satapna has come out with a number of digital solutions spanning across retail, mobile and internet banking, corporate mobile and internet banking, as well as recently a very robust and quick, easy to use customer onboarding solution. So previously, Mr. Soka has also handled the cards and e-banking function at Foreign Trade Bank in Cambodia. And when ANZ set up their business in ASEAN, Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar, Mr. Ross Soka was closely involved in the digital part and setup of their internet banking, ATM POS, and so on. So welcome to both panelists. And just a quick intro about myself. I handle the business development for IXE. We are focused on digital banking, and we are helping banks roll out their various digital banking offerings. So I thank you all, the panelists and the attendees, for time today. So we'll probably get started. And I think in terms of the discussion points for today, the way we have structured the agenda is we'll take up a few areas in the digital banking space. We'll ask the panelists for their opinion. We have tried and make it very interactive, so we'll get the audience poll from time to time to talk about their experiences as well, so that we can keep it a little more interactive. So the first topic for today is in terms of the overall smartphone penetration. The number of smartphones in Cambodia, in the region, has increased tremendously in the past few years. So this has given an opportunity for a lot of fintechs, a lot of banks to go after the unbanked and then bring them into bring the unbanked inside the financial inclusion, inside the banking sector. So probably we can start with Mr. Han in terms of his experience on how a bank should approach the digital banking when it comes to the unbanked, when it comes to financial inclusion. Mr. Han.
Yeah, okay, Satish, thanks for the question. I mean, it's very true in Cambodia. The statistics have shown that there are more mobile phones in Cambodia than the whole population of Cambodia. I think based on the last statistic that I saw as of January 2020, there are over 21 million mobile connections in Cambodia, compared to the population of about 16.5 million people in Cambodia. So basically, it's like almost everybody got about 1.3 phones each. Right?
Wow.
But however, the number of unbanked population in this country is still very high. Probably about 90% of people are still underbanked or don't have a bank account. And therefore, for Philip Bank, in order to bring about these financial inclusions, what we have taken so far, a few steps that we have taken over for the past few years, is one of them is to enlarge our footprint in Cambodia. by Philip Bank merging with our sister company Credit Microfinance earlier this year in January 2020. And because of this merger, we are able to increase the number of our branches from 6 branches in Phnom Penh to 89 branches throughout the whole country.
Wow. Okay.
So we believe that we believe in this phygital model or business model where we believe we still need to operate in the brick and mortar branches, but at the same time we will implement digital banking solutions to meet the customers' needs in a cheaper and a faster way.
Okay.
So we believe that in Cambodia, you still need people still like to go to branches, but at the same time, people are also more high tech now, right? So a digital business model, and we also believe in a mobile before PC strategy. Therefore, we actually implemented or introduced our mobile banking 3 years ago before we introduced our internet banking, which could be later this year. We're going to launch it, right? And I think finally another way to collaborate with a few fintech companies in Cambodia so that we can reach out to all these unbanked people group by partnering with a fintech company to reach out to this underbanked people group in the country.
Excellent. Yeah. Thanks, Mr. Han. I think that was phygital is the way to go. Definitely. In fact, there was another thought process in a couple of banks who I was talking to when it came more for the SME kind of segment. What the banks were trying to reach out to the provinces and then reach out to the SME population so that the vendors and the suppliers of the SME also become the banking customer. So you reach out to your SME, they become your brand ambassadors, and your the suppliers and vendors of the SME also come under the banking umbrella. So that way, the end-to-end supply chain is now taken care as well. So that's something which some of the banking entrepreneurs are looking at as well. Mr. Soka, your views on this financial inclusion and the increase in the number of smartphones, and how are you leveraging that in your digital journey, Mr. Soka?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Satish. Yeah, I just want to echo what Mr. Han said. Yeah, if we look at the number of smartphone, it's overpopulation. It's I think it's over 100%. But if you look at the inclusion banking, it is less than 20%.
Wow.
So for the Tapana banks, we are fortunate was a microfinance, and we work with the farmer rurals. And when we transform to a commercial bank, that is a big advantage because we are the second largest branch in the country. And recently we work to introduce the online onboarding so that everyone can have access to finance without to come and visit the branch. And that is an introduction to the bank, and it's an entry mode. So we have different class of segments. So let's say if you want to sign up as a Tapana bank account, you don't need to come to the branch anymore.
Okay.
And you can enjoy a limited service. But if you want a full service, you just walk to any one of our branch. We have nationwide 172 branches.
Okay.
And they do a quick KYC upgrade so that you can enjoy it. And you can request a virtual cards so that you can do online ordering food, or nowadays online rice, or order rice. That is very, very convenient so far.
Excellent. Yeah. So basically your customers, your prospects who want to open accounts can do so quickly and get access to all your mobile banking products through end-to-end customer onboarding. And if they want to get any additional and other thing, then the KYC process will be more of a follow-up.
Right.
Okay.
So online onboarding can be completed within less than 5 minutes.
Wow, that's interesting. That's really interesting. Okay, so moving on, just to get the audience, we have a lot of senior bankers from different parts of Cambodia, Malaysia, We also have a couple of people from Australia on the audience attendee list. So the question actually to the panelist is, in their digital transformation journey, what are some of the challenges they faced? That's the key aspect, and how it has been rewarding. So before the actual panelists give their view, probably we'll just keep it a little interactive, and then we can look at a poll from the audience. So I've just launched a poll. We'll probably give the attendees about 30 seconds or so to answer. I hope all of you can see the poll on your laptops and mobile phones. Basically, what are some of what in your view is the most challenging aspect of digital banking transformation at your banks or some of the enterprises where you have banked with? This will actually give us also an idea in terms of what business leaders, what CIOs, CBOs, CDOs are all would like to know. And then I think we have about 50% of them voted, as some more are still voting. So we'll just give them another half a minute or so. So I managed to think of the customer requirement. They are always changing. We start the project, we do 4 weeks of FSD discussion, and then bang, some new change request comes in because the business says this is must for the industry. So that is one of the challenging aspects. Then from the IT side, you have APIs with co-banking, with card systems, with Wing, PiPay, and suddenly you have Combo Pay and Dara Pay and Bakong coming in, So new interfaces, new integration requirements. Of course, interactive UI and UX, it's a very personal flavor, which UI, where you have the icons. And nowadays, I think banks are really looking at omni-channel experience, a single vendor probably to look at Android phones, iOS phones, internet, and so on. So we have most of them who have already voted. So I'll just end the poll here and just launch the share the results. Okay, so this is what we have in front of us. The panelists can also have a view of that. I think about 45% of them are saying that integration is some of the major challenges. I think we have a lot of people from IT in the audience. So complex integration requirements is something which is definitely a nightmare for all the CIO and IT. And people do agree that customer requirements from the business side, is also some of the challenges. And of course, you have the UI, UX, and the omni-channel experience. So probably with just keeping these poll results, the panelists can let the attendees and know of their view of how it went in. So probably Mr. Han, we can
I can relate to these answers. Complex integration requirement. I do agree that this is a very challenging aspect of digital transformation, like what you say, where we need to, where our IT people need to integrate via API, and there are so many types of API, so many requirements, so many partners. Not only just with the core banking system and the fintech, and every fintech got their own different kind of API that we need to talk to. But having said that, I think for me, another very challenging aspect of digital transformation is starting with our own personal employee or staff. As a bank, we need to bring all our people to know the importance of changing or transforming into a digital bank. So changing mindset and changing culture of our people to understand and to adapt and to accept the new the new world of doing banking in nowadays, open banking, API banking, in this new world of Industrial 4.0, where there's a lot of IoT, AI, machine learning, deep learning involved. So changing my people's mindset to know the importance and to need to change to become more internet savvy, digital savvy. That is more challenging for me personally.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is more of your in-house staff, how you get them to the change from the traditional banking to the digital part. Because business as usual will still continue, but at the same time, they need to cater to a new set of, digital challenges, customer help desk, how to do troubleshooting and things like that. Yeah, a very, very interesting view. Thanks, Mr. Han. And Mr. Soka, you want to add to that?
Yeah, Mr. Satish, thank you. I can't decide which one is go over which one. I feel that all the four are best match and it is equally share. Of course, the customer experience requirement is evolving daily, and sometimes the moment we write up one business requirement, they will come up another 2 or 3 times. And of course, the integration requirements, Cambodia is still young in adopting this, and UX UI as well. When we recruit people, we are hardly find anyone that fits. So and of course, omni-channel, so that the customer can have the same experience from mobile through internet, or even when they walk into our branch. So they are equally shares and importance to us.
Okay, interesting. But nowadays, you would have worked with different systems, different vendors, and so on. So there are a set of vendors who purely focus on co-banking. Then there are a set of vendors who focus on cards, and that's their core area, card management and things like that. And digital is the new age, the nimble, smaller companies who give digital solutions and so on. So what is your view when you go for a digital choice? You would because some of these off the shelf co-banking vendors also have some solutions on the digital side, and then you have the digital only vendors. So what thought process went in when you chose some of the digital solutions for your banks and your previous experience?
Yes, thank you. I think at the end of the day is we have open and frank discussions. Of course, they have the legacy system, but when we introduce something that more dynamic, more agile, so some people feel very shocked, and even the risk and compliance, they didn't used to it. So we need to discuss and maybe provide hands-on training and attending some of the workshop and go through some of the use case. For example, if we want to introduce something like paperless, they say all the requirement require paper-based, so it's difficult to change the mindset. But I think it's open conversation, keep engaging, and put everyone on the same direction. That is the way to go.
Yeah, Mr. Han, your thoughts on more of from a vendor choice point of view when it comes to core, card management, and digital. You would probably choose a digital only person, or you would look at somebody, a core, who's also offering a digital. What kind of views you have when
you mean when we choose which vendors to use for our, is it which vendors to partner with to provide the solution for us?
Yeah, that's true.
So which vendor to partner with us is then we got to see their product offering, whether what they offer actually will meet our requirement, because we know what is customer. I mean, more or less we know what is customers' needs and how do we meet this customer needs. If we cannot do it ourselves, then we got to look for vendors. And when we look for vendors, we will of course look at what are the solutions that is offered by the vendor, and whether this offer, these solutions from the vendor can fit into our banking needs in order to fulfill the requirement of our customers. So the meeting the needs part is most important for us, I believe.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay, great. I think that's really wonderful to know. So basically, you have to look at the product offering, the width of the solution, and meeting your specific customer needs.
And of course, not forgetting the costing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yeah, it's definitely cost is a factor. It's not just in
Yeah.
Cambodia, even
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
the large banks in the region are
Yeah.
definitely looking at cost as an aspect.
Mm.
Yeah. So moving on, I think there's a very pertinent and interesting question, which I think both of you senior gentlemen would have come across, is having a reliable digital identification system. Just to set the parlance, in India, our digital journey with banks have been relatively very successful because there's already an ID management system, the Aadhaar, which is a database where my iris, my fingerprint, my phone number, all the information is stored. Even large countries like Malaysia and Singapore doesn't still have it. They're all moving towards that. And how did you overcome this challenge, especially while doing the onboarding part? So maybe this is something I'll start probably with Mr. Soka, and then Mr. Han can add on to the comments. Mr. Soka, you may probably want to start on this. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Satish. Yeah, it's a very good and valid question. So when we start exploring the digital onboarding and online account opening, we come across those hurdle or questions. And so we explore with our vendors and our team as well, our compliance, our risk team. So we found that Cambodia is still in a premature stage to have a centralized digital identifications. But we come across a new fintech or new solution that can provide us something like a cell KYCs, so that people can take selfies and also take the identification, and the technology can match it. But we didn't rely on them 100%. So what we go for is a hybrid. So the cell KYC as well as the manual process utilize our call center is 24 hours a day, so they can do cross checks if something's not right or suspicious. And this have in the pilot stage for sometimes, and it's proven successful so far. So I think is the way forward is we have the competencies, and customer also have tried it out, and they express some satisfaction because they don't need to come to the branch, but at the same time they have what we call a live version of account. But they can enjoy the full financial service, phone top up, bill payments, even transfer to our partner, etc. But on a limited basis.
Okay, that's good. Yes, Mr. Han, your thoughts?
Yeah. So for my thought is I'm waiting eagerly for the day where Cambodia government can implement Aadhaar in Cambodia. Then it's so easy. In fact, Singapore already have. They got their SingPass now.
Right.
Where you can actually apply for a bank account, and it can be approved instantaneously, or open a bank account instantaneously because of this SingPass. Is all linked to the central government identification center. So while waiting for this Aadhaar to happen in Cambodia, right? So there's only a limited ways that we can onboard customers without meeting them physically. I think what Soka did, what Satapana did, is a very good step. It's a right step towards this digital onboarding on the so-called light customer, LITE. Limit. You can onboard yourself, but subject to limited services that you can use. Reminds me of when I first started using, for example, PayPay in Cambodia. When I onboard myself using PayPay, I take a selfie, take an ID card, take a photo, and then I can use up to I can transact up to a few hundred. I think what $100.
Yeah.
And if I want to do more, I got to go to the hub to show my passport to the guy standing behind the hub, and then they see my passport, and then they allow so-called full KYC, eKYC done, and I can transact more. So this is something that what Phillip Bank is also doing now, or we are in the midst of doing. One thing that I also want to share is that in fact Central Bank Cambodia, they are also introducing this. They have introduced Bakong project, and it is same like Soka or Satapana, where Bakong customer can so-called digitally onboard themselves with very minimal information, and they can transact up to a few maybe about $50-$100.
Okay.
So in fact, I'm very so-called encouraged to see that National Bank Cambodia, is actually implementing this Bakong project, where customer, and it's actually part of their strategy to include all these unbanked people group, make it easy for people to get access to banking services.
Okay. Yeah, just to add on, there are a couple of experiences which we have in terms of this KYC. So one is a selfie check. It's got something called as a liveliness check to make sure that nobody just uploads a photo as a selfie, and during the selfie you actually blink your eyes slowly so that they know it's an actual person. And another interesting thought process which we have just added into our product offering is also something called video KYC. So video KYC is once you have submitted the application from your smartphone, the bank's teller will call you on your smartphone. So it is a video conference which happens, and the teller will ask you a few questions pertinent to your application. So he will, for example, he'll ask what's your mother's maiden name, what's your date of birth, and then he will actually ask for some of the for the actual prospect to read out the Aadhaar number or any other identification number, so that it's an interactive check. And the only challenge there is, of course, sometimes the photo given in the ID, like you said, your driving license, and if you open a bank account now, there is a lot of difference in the actual facial recognition. But that, to a large extent, is taken care by this video KYC. And this is what some of the countries like Malaysia are also moving into. And we are in talks with a few banks there to implement this video KYC. I think till the Cambodia gets its Aadhaar equivalent system, I think this is a good interim option which we can look at.
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay, great. Wonderful. I think, we are a little over halfway through. Just time for another audience poll, just to keep it. So, if you want to, if the question is, if you're looking at a successful digital transformation, what is the area which you will really recommend to go after? I think earlier the question was more in terms of challenges. Now I think it's more in terms of the recommendations for the strategy. So I'll just put a poll to the audience for this. Okay, I think you should be having this. Key recommendations of devising a successful digital transformation strategy. We have the audience can start voting. The voting is now open, and we have looked. I've looked at broadly four areas, but of course the panelists will definitely be able to add their views once the poll is complete. Depending on which segment the bank is focusing on, target customer segment is something which I thought through. And then, of course, choice of products, like Mr. Han said, when they are looking for a vendor. From my personal experience in implementations is, while we look at all the larger aspects in terms of customer segment, product offerings, and things like that, probably I will not bias the audience. I'll probably give them 30 more seconds to vote, and then talk about my view. Yeah, the other two which I have put through is the API availability, and also the timely sign off from stakeholders. So we'll just, more than half the audience have voted. I think all of them who had registered are attending, so it's good to know. Okay, so just another 10 seconds. Anyone is still thinking? I was too tempted to put an all the above option, in for these questions. then I thought we'll really never get what we want. So, okay, so let me just end the poll and let me share the results with the panelists and the here we are. So, what are the key recommendations for devising a successful digital banking transformation strategy? More than almost 60% have saying they would prioritize on the target customer segment, and an equal number in terms of product offerings and plan for API availability in advance. I'm glad that at least 20% of them have chosen for that API availability because it just gets left, till we are ready to start development, and then that's when we really start engaging with the IT team, go after the card vendors, go after the other vendors, and get. So that is something which is important to plan for. So probably, Mr. Han, I can start with your views on the audience poll results and your personal views also in terms of what are the things you would probably recommend for a strategy, and any other point which I have possibly out here.
Yeah. I mean, based on these four, I mean, there are so many recommendations, but based on the four recommendations here, I also vote for the prioritize the target customer segment, because in Philippines we have a whole range of customers, from the micro loan customer to micro SME to SME, all the way up to the corporate customers. So we have affluent customers, we have middle income customers, we have low income customers as well. So I agree that in order for us to successfully transform the bank digitally, we need to prioritize the target customer segment that we actually really want to reach out to, to really, what are the priority customer segment that we want to reach out to. That's very, very, very key to our digital transformation strategy. But I'd like to add that one more thing that I mentioned just now about people, internal people, that is also very, very key. We need to have our people, to our internal staff, our own people, very important for them. They need to buy in. They need to buy in the idea that our bank, we need to transform digitally. Otherwise, it will not be successful.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can't agree more. I'll let Mr. Soka comment, and then I'll give my views on my experiences.
Yeah. My thought is I will go with the first two, the client segmentation and the product offering. And as Tapana, we have diverse client portfolio, from the farmer up to the urban city. And internally, we discussed that digital banking is only to serve the unbanked or the inclusions. And my recommendation to the top management here is no, because digital banking, we serve everyone, from the inclusion banking up to the ultra net worth. That's why we mapped this channel together with the product offering, and we launched together with our card. And there are many classes. And as you can see, we have the Visa card platinum offering for affluent and ultra affluent customer, and we package together with the travel insurance up to $1 million, and that is a bonus to our clients, so that they can do their business, they travels with a peace of mind, and they just focus on their business. So product offerings and client segmentation that need to match together. And of course, internally, we need to engage all our stakeholders. And for us, we have very good position, because we have internally, we have over 4,000 staff. So they can launch any internal campaign or any pilot product, so that they can test and give us all the feedbacks. So yeah, that's what I thought about it.
Yeah, I think absolutely, I cannot agree more with both your views. Just giving a thought from another side. Both of you spoke as bankers. Purely from a vendor perspective, from an IT company or from a CIO perspective, what happens is sometimes when we start the project, then you really start looking for APIs, you start looking for sign off from stakeholders. We have had projects where the UI UX has been signed off, we have developed screens, and then we realize the marketing team was never involved from the bank side in the sign off, and we go back to ground zero. In fact, one of my delivery senior vice presidents, in an internal email, he had said about the snake and ladder game, wherein you reach up to 100 and there's a snake at 99, which brings you down to number 2. So some implementations were literally like that. We almost go there to the live and then we are back to ground zero. So I think while target customer segment and product offerings are very important for the end product, for the implementation journey to be successful, I think the IT teams really need to plan for the APIs, and the business teams, like the business heads like yourself, if they can really help in the timely sign off, changes will happen. But I think we just need to freeze at some point and say that, okay, new changes will come up in the subsequent release and so on. So that's a very interesting thought process. And then moving on, I think this is probably our last question in the interest of time. This is related to open banking, API banking. A lot of regions are now coming up with digital-only banks. So I would just have time for one more audience poll before the view of panelists on how open banking and API banking is going to gain traction. So the question here to the audience is, all of you must have heard of digital-only banks that are coming up. So, so the question here is, by the end of next year, how many digital-only banks you think are going to be there worldwide? These are the banks which will replace the traditional brick and mortar banks. All the traditional banks will have to compete with the likes of this. So just giving a minute for the audience to think through. And this is a research which quite a few banking magazines have also done. So I have a view on what some of them are saying. While the audience is voting, just to let you know, Singapore is launching 5 new banks, by the end of this year. Malaysia is looking at 5 more new banks. The likes of Grab and Financial, some of these organizations are bidding now for banking licenses. And my executive director always says the real competition to banks are not banks, it's the Amazon and the Googles of the world, because that's where they have the marketplace, they have the open APIs, they have the payment infrastructure, and literally, you have all these peer-to-peer lending platforms which are there and things like that. So it's an interesting shift to see how many digital-only banks are likely to be there by the end of 2021. So just give another 10 seconds for the audience to poll, and then we can take the panelist view. Okay. Yeah. So I'll just launch the results of the poll. Okay. So yeah. So majority of them are feeling that you're going to look at least 100, more than 100 banks, while a large amount of them are saying that they are likely to be 50 to 100 banks. So what I'll actually do before Mr. Han talks about their plan is to actually show a research that was done by an independent magazine. So as per Asian Banker Research, we are looking at almost 90 banks by the end of 2021 who are digital banks online globally. So these are the likes, which assuming an equal distribution, we can expect about 25% of them to be in Asia Pacific. So that would mean about 20 to 25 banks in Asia Pacific, which we'll all have to, compete with. So yeah, I'll just go back to the question and then look at Mr. Han's view on open banking and API banking, Mr. Han.
Yeah. Well, open banking actually started where in the Europe, I think UK, few years back, and then since has been adopted increasingly by many countries over the years. I think it's in this region, open banking has been adopted. I think in Hong Kong, Japan, Singapore, I think New Zealand, and Australia as well. And then we can see that more and more regulators are all also very open to open banking. Like I say, Hong Kong has issued this digital banking license. Singapore also in the midst of giving out 5 digital license. Malaysia as well, and we also see some regulators in this country are talking about how to get a standardized API for easy interaction and interoperability between all the financial institutions. In fact, in Cambodia as well, we can see the National Bank in Cambodia, they are also very keen in the sense that when they launched this Bakong project, I would say that it is also in the sense that it is also moving towards open banking and API in the sense that they created this Bakong e-wallet and they asked all the banks to join them. It's a blockchain technology, join this Bakong project via API, and where all the banks can become interoperable. So I agree that the bank cannot be the traditional bank cannot maintain their business as status quo. We need to change. I know that we need to change. That's why I say I'm very actively very passionate about digital transformation and how can we go about doing this and how can we get our people along to have a change in mindset so that we can go along in this journey of digital transformation. So we see that it's happening in everywhere in Cambodia as well, and more banks are also going into this open banking in the sense that like us, open banking means doing a lot of collaboration.
Okay.
In a sense. So this is what Philip Bank is also doing in Cambodia today. We are also collaborating with some of the fintech in Cambodia to share each other's services so that we can be able to serve more customers. Ultimately, to give customers a better or a greater banking services, cheaper, faster, better, and create a better or great user experience for our customers. So it's happening, whether we like it or not. We need to change or evolve.
Great. I think that's a real, very, very practical. And yes, I think everybody needs to change. The sooner, the better. I think that's
the sooner, the better.
Digital ecosystems. Yeah. Mr. Soka, your views before we put the forum open for any questions from the audience, or your views on API and open banking.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Satish. I was gone through in my life and through at least 3 major events from the barter economy in 40 years ago. When I went to school, my mother gave me a sack of rice. So I went to school and then I need to exchange for some noodle along the road. And then we start to introduce the money, the cash economy. So I start to feel carry certain cash. And when I travel during my study, and I got the chance to travel, study in Thailand and France, I need to go to the market and bargaining the exchange rates. So I took me a lot of time to, and especially when I come back, the remaining cash still in my pocket.
Okay.
Yeah, and then later on we introduce the card. That is very very good and very powerful tool. I don't need to carry any more cash. So I think the open banking is a new normal, as we say. It is a part of our daily life. As we agree that people carry multiple phone, and also people can have multiple bank account. And when I click to do transaction in my one bank, I need to log out and I log in again into the second bank. So I think, as Mr. Han mentioned, is under our National Bank initiative, is a collaboration is a key. So not only the customer wins, but the bank's back office processings also save time, save money, save cost. You remember that if without this, we write a check and we need to go either bilateral or go to somewhere to clear the check. So it takes a long time. So the open banking, open API economy is a must to have, except that certain country go fast, certain country go more structures, and Cambodia I think is quite open. So we already implemented even more than that or quicker than certain country. We already launched cross-border pays with Thailand, and we look toward maybe Asian payment network in the coming years. And central bank already adopted the standard QR code. So I think it's we need to prepare to make it happen sooner and not later. Yeah.
So when it comes to your digital solution, which you're already tied up and integrated with all the other wallet providers, Mr. Soka, the Wing, PiPay, and Bakong, and things like that.
Right, right. We partner with all, and we open up our system to everyone. And of course, thanks for reminding me that. And internally, we use the word alliance partner. So all the PSIs, all the fintechs can approach us, and we can do that. But it's on a bilateral basis.
Okay.
And what we are looking for, and more on a standard protocol, like a Visa, Mastercard schemes. Everyone agree that ISO, and now it's come to the standard QR. So that is more meaningful, so that we don't need to spend much time to debate or discuss. So it's already agreed, and we just agree on the commercial, and we just kick off the project. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's great. That's great. Excellent. So yeah, I think we have really utilized the time in terms of the questions and the audience related polls. I'll just keep it open now for anybody in audience to probably raise a hand or ask any questions if they still have anything specific to know from the panelists. Otherwise, I think very happy with the way we started with identity management. We started with customer onboarding. We looked at some of the challenges in digital banking. Also, what are your recommendations for digital banking? And finally, the open API. I think really thankful thing there. Let me just see if there are any other specific questions. No, I think we are quite good there. So yeah, I think really thankful to all the attendees. We have had much more than the registered ones. I think there were a few last minute ones who also joined directly from the social media. So thanks to all the attendees. Thanks to you panelists for your valuable time. I think let me just see any specific question. Yeah, I think there is one question from the audience. Probably, Mr. Soka, you can take this. What are the ideal technologies and features you're looking forward to realize a successful digital banking transformation? So I think we have kind of covered it across different questions, but the question is more from a technology point of view. What will be your focus area? I think that's somebody from the audience has asked.
Yes, thank you, Satish, and thank you for the questions. I think it's very valid and very frank questions. And to me, I think we are at the start of the Industrial Revolution 4 and Banking 4.0. It is something that new and something that need to take time. But if you ask me, I think it's something that we can bring benefits straight away to our customer. Everything we do, we put the customer at the forefront of everything we do. And I think the next coming is, as Mr. Han also mentioned, that big data, AI is the something that we need to do every day. And we know that data is a new goal nowadays. And I think we know that right now we heard about digital e-commerce, but we cannot forget about voice commerce. It's coming, and I attended one of the workshop, virtual conference. They already launched somewhere and some part of the world that you can order good and service through your voice, and even do fund transfer. I transfer $500 to Satish, and it's acts on behalf of me. So that is something that very exciting, I think, in the coming years. Yeah, that's what I saw.
Great. I think it's been a wonderful session, and thanks to all the attendees and to the panelists. And I think there's a holiday coming up next few days in Cambodia. I think Malaysia also is off tomorrow. So you all, at least everyone in Cambodia, a long weekend. And thanks everybody for your time. Really appreciate it, and look forward to working with you. Continue to work with you, and probably we can arrange some follow-up sessions sometime later this year or next year as changes keep evolving on the digital space. Okay.
Yeah.